Welcome to Mams Talk, where Mams Talk Survivor. I'm Kay, the game maker and host of Survivor Skaneateles, and I'm joined with my co-host and contestant, Jess.
Hello, welcome back, hopefully, to the deep dive.
How are you feeling about this episode?
This is where the game got really, really stressful. So I think I'm having some residual feelings watching it. But it's a fun episode.
It certainly is, and pretty much the reason that it's fun. And she's here. She's here. Gabi, did you get your payback? Were the crimes paid for?
I I don't think they were.
Whoa.
That's so fair.
I think I threatened a lot, and
Mhm.
then I didn't follow through.
Yeah, and then a peanut butter and jelly sandwich kind of simmered things
Yeah,
out.
I
Yeah.
am truly obsessed that you weren't looking at Allie at all to go home this episode.
Oh, I was like, it's fine. I like came in hot and heavy, angry. I was like, I need an explanation. And then like 10 minutes later, I was like, we're good, it's fine.
Yeah,
Never
and
mind. No.
there's a moment where like Grant is like, "So are you sure you don't want Allie to go? Like, are you sure?" And you're like, "No."
You just needed to vent a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was truly, like, I think that I was legitimately more surprised that Ella was eliminated than
Mhm.
she was.
Yeah,
Oh, she fully
100%.
saw it coming. She
Yeah.
Like
knew full well.
watching Seven again and seeing like everybody telling her to her face that she was gonna go home, and like me, like, no, like I had not a clue.
Yeah. I also remember there was a scene that was cut where you and Ella are talking and she's like, "It's me. It's me. I know it's me." And you're like, "No, it's not." You're like, "Ella, come on, be so for real right now. It's not you." And she's like, "No, I think it's like for real me."
It's funny because I feel like people were telling her to her face, like, your name came up, like, I'm pretty sure you're gonna go. And Grant, like, full on telling her, like,
Yeah.
they're talking about you, they're gonna get you out. But nobody was telling me that. They were telling her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Everyone was telling me something different. So I was just like so in the dark about what was happening. So I think it was like a true, like genuine shock and disbelief at what happened. I don't think I had been so surprised at anything that had happened up until that point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I am sorry, go ahead.
I feel like I assumed you knew. Like I feel like I assumed Ella had told you, and I guess she did tell you,
Did I
but
just didn't trust
she didn't tell you how concretely she knew, I guess, that she knew she was going.
Yeah. And I think I totally also underestimated, well, that everybody wanted me gone, and like my having gotten the immunity idol then like protected me. So going then into that like tribal council, I was just in the dark in so many ways. I really wasn't expecting what was gonna happen.
I am curious why did so much of your heat go onto Allie specifically?
Maybe it's just like our like outside of the game friendship. I was like,
Mhm.
how could Allie turn on Ella?
Oh, because
Right.
they were like best friends.
How could
Yeah.
you do this to us?
How dare she?
How
And
dare
then
Not
Grant's just sitting there pretty. You're yelling at Allie and Grant's just kind of like I was also shocked, but like I'm gonna be quiet about it.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it was like convenient that I was freaking out because it was like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I
do
mean,
that.
you do give it to Justin a little bit too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Justin.
Oh, Justin.
Well, he said he wants what's equitable.
For everyone. What's equitable for everyone,
And do we
to
feel
be
that that was
clear.
equitable for everyone?
Ella leaving?
Yeah. I
Not for
guess.
Ella.
Well, I guess Ella and Dylan. One from each side, so it's
Yeah.
I do, yeah. I mean,
equitable.
it kind of was equitable only because we like voted across tribal lines, like for someone from the other tribe.
Hmm.
So, I mean, you could call it equitable. I don't know if anything in this game is really equitable, but
Yeah, that's fair. Let's also talk about Gabby, your conversation that you have with Allie right after, where you're kind of like demanding a lot of answers from her. Where and this is gonna come off maybe wrong, but where do you get off asking questions?
I don't know. And I would also love to know what answers I was looking for. Like, I'm not
Right.
really
You're like,
sure.
I'm gonna need a little something from you. And she's like, what do you need?
What do you need?
I was
I
like,
love it
I don't
because
know.
like y'all are not working together at all.
No.
Right, because the last episode you go up to her or where she's trying to work with you, and you point blank are like, no, we're all strong together, we're united, and you're not a part of this.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you know what? I need answers. Why did you
I'm gonna
betray
need
me?
something. I'm gonna need something from you.
Like, I need to know the truth. I need to know what's going on.
We're a
She's
little
like,
frazzled. Yeah.
yeah. And she's like, I'm begging you, let's just vote out Grant. I'm on my knees.
Honestly, something we could all be united on.
Mhm.
And I think everyone
Definitely.
was before
We were.
this. Yeah.
We were. It was truly going to be him if he did not win the challenge.
And
Yeah.
can you talk me through why that is exactly?
Me. Well, it was really just because I don't, and honestly, the further we get away from the game and the more I watch it play back, I do find it hard to figure out why exactly we were also zoned in on Grant. But we at the time, he just seemed like he was like the front runner to win if he got to the end. And if he got to four, he was 100% getting to the end because he was going to make fire. So I guess it was just like the sure thing of him going to the end if he got to four was kind of scary at the end of the day.
Yeah. I agree that it was definitely, I mean, we were walking around and we were like, he cannot make it to fire. He cannot make it to fire.
Yeah.
We let him go as long as possible, but he will not make it to that
Yeah.
point. We like knew that was going to be the end.
Yeah.
For
And
everybody.
we find one tribal before it would be like too late. We like before it would be like he wins and it's over. Like, so if he wins the final 5 immunity, it's over, you know? So like we're waiting till final 6 immunity. That's a scary game to be playing. Like, I don't really know why we waited quite so long.
Yeah, it's certainly.
I think it was like hard to conceptualize how soon the end was, like at this point. And then he obviously doesn't go this time. So then I think we're all kind of like panicking at this point about how we're gonna keep him out of the final 3.
Yeah. There's also a lot of discussion at this point, just in terms of what everyone's threat level is, and I'm curious to know like where, like, why we landed on those things. Like, why is Justin more of a threat than you two, and then Zach or Allie?
Yeah, I actually really don't know. I think because he was winning those, and he had like came very close in like every individual immunity challenge, and that was a concern. Because we thought like if he stayed long enough, he could just win to the end. And I think we were like just thinking about it like from the perspective of like tribal lines. He had been on both tribes, he'd worked with both groups, and he like had the underdog story that we talk about a little bit in the episode. That was pretty much the only reason. Yeah, I don't know that read is correct, but
Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about you and Zach, Jess. We're talking about how Allie's not a threat at all.
Yeah,
do you stand by that?
Well, no. So this episode actually was when I started to be scared of Allie being a threat at the end, mostly because Gabby's running around being like, she's masterminding this whole game, like she's been playing behind the scenes the whole time, and now
She's
we're finally
Bobby
seeing
Fischer.
it. She's Bobby Fischer. So once you started saying all this stuff, I was like, oh shit, I really feel like maybe like Allie's not the best bet for me and Zach to take to the end. But I feel like we had like, I mean, we don't vote her out this time, but like I don't know. I guess it wasn't like enough to make us change our end game strategy at this point. So yeah.
And Gabby, you also are knocking down Jess and Zach during the conversation with Allie.
Yeah, I don't know what. I guess I because like the coconuts had spent more time together, I think I detected that there was something going on between the two of them, and I was like, I don't know, something's going on over there. We got to keep our eyes peeled.
Yeah, y'all were lying low. But so at this point in the game, like who has like the highest win equity? Do we want to do like a ranking?
Yeah, we can. I'm trying to think about like at this point in the game.
If Grant gets to the end, is he like the number one person?
It's like, again, it's so hard to like
I
think
know.
retroactively, but we all definitely thought that was true at the
Yeah.
time. So yeah, like if he plays the rest of the game perfectly and say he wins not only this challenge but the next one and he gets to the end, I feel like that is like he would get like every jury vote, I feel like, at this point.
I mean, I guess we don't have to walk through the whole thing, but
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So I guess I do want to talk about the alliance that is formed.
Which one?
That's, I guess, a good question. There are multiple in this episode, but you, Zach, Allie, and Justin. And this is not the first time that you've formed an alliance with someone right before they've left. That's happened with 3 different people.
Yeah. So, well, this happened am I wrong? This was before the Ella vote that we first started talking about the 4 of us, right? Or no?
Not
it was
from my
episode?
footage that I've seen.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess I was just making final fours with anyone who walked up to me.
And then once you did, you were like, they gotta go.
Well, because like I wanted to make sure that people would take me to the end if they won. So like I was leaving my doors open.
But then also like kicking them out of the door.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what I was thinking with like this, like I think I was like I wanted it to be like I wanted Gabi over Justin to be in the final 4 because she was a coconut, so I felt like we had like there was more of a chance that like if she were to win the final 4 immunity that you would have taken me to the 3 over someone else like Allie. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but that was like my perception at the time was like that would be the case. So I guess I was like less sure about Justin in that sense. So, but yeah. I don't know. But then if he won, like I wanted to make sure that he would maybe still be thinking about a final 4 with me. So, yeah, you know.
To be fair, Grant says in this episode that he's worried about you two like finally coming together, even though you've been at odds, and it did kind of happen.
I do think that there is a world in which it does happen, and I think that he's like, now that I watch the edit back, I think it's like he's off my tail a bit, like more than I had realized. And I do actually think that maybe like if he had stayed, like there may have been a way for us to go to the end together in a coming together of family or whatever. Like, yeah, kind of poetic.
How are we feeling about Grant's loyalty game? Looking back,
he's just like, well, now he's just
because no one had trust in him at all.
No. Yeah. But it's weird. Like, honestly, the thing I really thought was weird was when you, Gabi, were talking to him and he was like, kind of seemed like he wanted Allie to go more than Justin, but you were like, no, I want Justin. And he was like, okay, you want Justin, we'll do Justin. Like, I was like, you're just like laying down and dying over, I don't know. Like,
which I think, like, I remember a moment, I think it was like around this time where someone had said something to me about, maybe it was just before this, in one of the previous episodes about like, Grant, are you worried about Grant? And I think I said to them, like, I don't think it made it into the like final cut, but I was like, don't worry, like I think he'll do whatever I say. And just get like confirmation that it was like,
I mean, like, yeah, clearly. I think that it's also interesting to me because I think that y'all are working like probably the closest together at this point as far as like people he's working with, but he thinks that he is still talking about like a 3-person alliance with me and Zach, which is like genuinely, I don't know how many times I even have like talked to him this round. Like, I don't think I talked to him like at all. So it's just interesting that he's like I don't know. His perception of the game is like hard to track for me, you
It's
know.
a little all over the place, I think. And then also like going back to episode 7, like the beginning when he finds me and Ella and he like gives us a hug and then, whatever. And
Of
then
course, of course.
later
Classic.
it's like, well, if we have to get rid of Ella, like I don't want to, but anyone but me. And I think really
Hmm.
that was like the framework of his like loyalty was like, yeah, at the end of the day, anyone but me.
Yeah.
But I'm
Whatever.
so loyal, but I'm so loyal. You have to
Very
understand.
loyal, but also
But also I don't care.
me,
It's
not me,
just
girl, not
so
me.
right. Like it's really interesting. Well, it seems like he's willing to like lay down and die for his alliance. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a weird strategy for me. But his primary strategy seems to be like acting like he's gonna flip so that I mean, at this point you can't even really say the dolls versus the coconuts because it's just like 6 people at this point.
Not
But
enough
like
left.
he's like, oh, well, they'll believe that I'm flipping and then they'll give me info and then I can run it back to my real alliance, the coconuts. Like, and I don't know why the dolls continue to tell him information because he's done it every single round where he's like taken it and run it back to the person on the
Well,
coconuts that it's
it kind of
about.
happens again with the fake boys alliance that
Yeah.
everyone involved does not believe
No,
in.
no.
This is the funniest part of the episode to me is the fake boys alliance. It's so good.
Because they're all like, yeah, fucking right. These misogynists over here.
I love Justin being like, I've convinced Brandon away to vote Gabi because he's really in on the boys alliance. And then, but Grant at the same time walked away from that conversation being like, it's not Gabi. No way is it Gabi.
I also just want to say I feel like Justin really comes alive this episode. You guys make that alliance and he's like, oh my God, I can
Yeah.
start playing now.
Yeah, I know.
And then you're like, no, goodbye.
I feel so guilty about it watching it back. I think that's probably the worst I feel like watching back like someone that I've like betrayed in the game because I don't think that like the betrayal in this game is not really like all that. Like it lasts for 5 minutes and then it's over. But watching Justin back being like, I think I'm finally in an alliance. I'm like, oh
Aw.
no.
Well, and maybe it should have been you here because you wouldn't let him use the Wii
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
he
it's just
deserves
payback
it. It's
Yeah,
for
and
way bad.
I should have considered that. I should have probably self-evicted at this point because I deserve it.
I think really that you as a child should have been thinking about how your actions were going to affect you and Justin as adults
Mhm.
survivor
Yeah.
together. And I think that it's really the fault of you as a child that this happened.
Yeah. No, for sure. I should have known better.
Exactly.
Like I should, yeah. Shame on me, for real.
You should have predicted.
Should we talk about the challenge?
Oh, yes.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Gabi, why are you covering your face? You
Why
did
are
so
you
well.
so
I can't explain the just absolute like visceral reaction I have to just thinking about it every time. It's
If it makes you feel any better, I don't know that you were the highlight of this challenge. I don't know if
correct?
people were really looking at you.
thank God. And thank God for that.
Yeah, that's very true.
I could have added in some sort of soundbite of me being like, and Gabi still hasn't passed the first obstacle.
Yeah. I think that you did say that at one point and it just
I
didn't
might
make the
have.
final
Yeah,
cut.
maybe it just didn't
Yeah.
make the edit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever wanted someone else to win. And anyone, like absolutely anyone, I want someone else to finish this so that we can move on.
Honestly, I felt the same way. Like, and I was like not doing the ring toss as long as you. That was the worst part of the entire challenge, by the way. Like, I'm so sorry that you were doing that for like 30 minutes because it was awful.
Well, it's really interesting because Justin and Grant got it so fast. Here's the other part is we don't get to test these things at least in this game because I'm like a one-woman production team. So I was like, that seems like a decent distance.
Right.
And if people were struggling all at the same level, I would have just moved it up. But Justin and Grant got it so fast, I was like, well, I can't move it up now.
Yeah. They got it like right away.
We just can't all be athletes, is what I'm
so true.
Not everyone's good at ring toss.
And you know what? You can tell how happy Justin is that he finished the ring toss because he goes like, yes.
Yeah.
And that's how we all felt when we got past the ring toss. Those
I
of us who did.
also, I think I maybe should have learned my lesson about ring tosses after the bucket
Oh yeah.
challenge
Oh
obstacle
yeah.
course, because y'all were on the ring toss a long time.
Oh, I know.
And
I
there were
know.
mostly coconuts left, so I should have maybe put
Yeah.
those 2 and 2 together.
Yeah. I can't remember. Well, this was I think we were talking to Allie about this episode, and she was like, you could tell we've gotten rid of the comp threats at this point.
They're no longer with us.
We've gotten the strong people out of the game because this is who's left. But I honestly, like, as much as I didn't want Grant to win, there was a point where I was like, just finish it, because he had been on the puzzle for so long.
Yeah.
That like I was like, he's gonna win, so why are we just like drawing this out at this point? And then Justin gets up to the puzzle, and I'm like, okay, I'm rooting for Justin now to finish this so we can get Grant out of here.
It felt like he was maybe gonna come back, but
yeah. I thought that there was
happened.
maybe some way that Grant had just fully lost his mind and could not finish a tangram puzzle.
Yeah. And I was like, it's a 5-piece puzzle.
Yeah. I also remember after he won, I was like, oh my God, like, I'm so sad I didn't get a chance to like finish. I like practiced some tangrams before the season. And Grant was like, what? You practiced? I was like, Grant, it's a very popular puzzle. And he was like, wait, what? I was like, yeah.
I don't think he's ever heard of those kinds of puzzles. He's like, I only know Jigsaw.
That's probably why he was so bad at it. He'd never heard of a tangram puzzle before.
Well, I hope that people are studying their tangrams.
Well, they better be.
Start practicing.
Yeah,
To start
it's
practicing
time.
at night.
Oh, it's time to start practicing at night.
they're practicing at night. I before we move on from the challenge, I do need to address your throwing, Jess.
Okay, I have a defense for myself. Okay, because I got made fun of quite a bit for my inconsistent throwing, and I just want to say, even though it's unclear in the edit, I was hitting the blocks off faster than anybody at that stage of the game. Like, I was going boom, boom. Sometimes I would hit it twice with it before even running to go get my ball. So I just have to say that. True. So even though I'm throwing it straight at the ground at least 3 times in a way that seems physically impossible for someone who has thrown before.
Someone who has picked up a ball.
And I also stand by my statement. It's all about how it happens to leave your hand, because sometimes, you know, it gets caught a little bit in your hand and you go a little too hard and then it goes right at the ground. Because I could feel it happening. Oh, yeah, I could feel the issue.
Okay, thank you for your insight. You're an athlete. Now I see that you're maybe a Liberty. Are you a fan? You're on the team? What's happening?
Oh, I'm on the team. I'm the backup
You're on the
squad.
team?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, they saw this and they said we need her.
We need her. Different kind of, you know, ball throwing.
Yeah, but they saw what I did here and they said we know she can throw anything given to her. So
let's put her on the team. Put her on our racks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So excited to potentially see you throw more when I put on a game.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Just keep your eyes out for me.
All right. Well, Grant finally wins after
finally.
He takes over 10 minutes on the puzzle.
Yeah.
I think everyone's kind of relieved because the rain is coming down.
Oh, and it was raining hard. Yeah. I was caught between I took my hat off a bunch and then I was like, oh, because I couldn't see, and then it was raining and I put it back on. So it was just miserable out there. And our feet were soaked in the grass.
Yeah. Well, we know that because
of Allie's trench foot.
The trench foot. I have news. The toenail is healing.
It's on its way.
It's not fully back, but she's on her way back up the ladder.
Almost a year later.
So really important update. To the story.
I mean, I think everyone's probably wondering if her toe is okay. You know.
Yeah, so I think the people need to know.
Yeah.
Did you guys like my little cameo?
Yeah. Yes. What was your intention in that? You just wanted to hang out?
I think I just missed everyone.
That's fair.
I was it's been 2 days where I'm just watching my friends and I'm not interacting with them, and I was like, hey guys. I didn't think
Yeah.
it was gonna be in the episode, but the trench foot thing was too much to pass
Yeah.
up on. I was
Yeah.
like, it's too funny because she actually did get trench foot, so I have to
Yeah.
put this in. Um,
Tips
but
for next season. Change your socks at any opportunity that you have.
yeah, I mean, hopefully not raining.
Yeah.
Not rainy. And honestly, sandals.
Yeah, you were fine with your sandals.
I was. I did
Mm-hmm.
not have weird soggy. I had soggy butt. I
Mm-hmm.
had soggy bottom all the
Oh
way.
yeah.
Hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think actually I would recommend a pair of I personally cannot run in
Yeah,
sandals,
I was gonna
but
say you were doing okay running in the sandals.
Okay enough, I guess.
I guess so.
I made it to at least episode 8.
so true.
I'm not, like I said, not everybody's an athlete. I'm already starting. Not a
Well,
great
not
start,
everyone
so
can be Jess.
Well,
not everyone can be Jeff.
I know. And I feel bad for those who can't throw like I can.
Yeah. I mean,
All right.
Liberty is only so big. They can only have so
I
many
know.
players.
And my
And you're
my
what?
phone's blown up after this episode aired. Every sports team in the greater New York area said
Exactly. Right.
we need you.
All right. So Grant wins, right?
Mhm.
And
Oh, I
we
also
get
need to talk about me and Allie's face after he wins.
oh,
We look pissed. Like we look so mad. I think it just meant like because all the strategizing we had just done like totally was like out the window.
this is a kind of common theme that
I know.
people who are targeted just keep winning immunity by
I
accident.
think specifically this one was really stressful because of like I said, he's now one challenge away from making it into the final four in some capacity because he can definitely make fire, he guarantees himself final three if he can get to the four. It doesn't even matter if he wins that challenge at the end.
I really think that like the fear with Grant, like I wasn't even necessarily worried too much about what was going to happen if he got to the jury. It was just more so in this like pool of uncertainty where there's so many different outcomes and you kind of just don't know what can happen. There was one thing that was going to be sure, absolutely, was that if he made it to fire, that he was gonna beat us all. So it was like, even no matter what happens after that, we have no idea how things are gonna go. That is guaranteed.
Yep.
It can't happen. We can't.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, because like if you are now, if Grant wins, if he wins the final four, he puts himself in fire. I'm pretty sure is like what he would do, just like on because he knows he could win.
Yeah.
And then if he loses the challenge and he either gets taken so that he can't do fire, or he gets put in fire against whoever the person who won doesn't want to be there, and then that person like definitely loses. So yeah, it's just a lot less paths to the end when Grant's involved in the final four for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So obviously the plans do not come to fruition here. So people are kind of scrambling. Allie and Gabi make up with the Uncrustable.
Yeah.
Important moment.
Sorry if you already said this, but why is Allie not a threat at this point?
Who are you asking? In anyone's eyes?
I guess Gabi, because you're talking to her.
So here's the thing. I think that I had no plan about anything at any point because I went into the game really thinking that I wasn't going to last very long. So then when I was sticking around way longer than I thought, I wasn't making long-term plans. So then, we merge, Ella gets sent home. I'm pissed and confused. Ella and I did not have an alliance, which I think now is obvious watching back the footage that the suspected alliance that maybe people thought that we had officially shaken on something hadn't happened. We probably would have been loyal to each other through the end of the game, but we had not made any agreement on anything. So then I find myself in this position where I just don't know what to do at all because I hadn't thought about it and I hadn't seen myself getting this far. So then at some point I was like, well, whatever, like this is who's left at the end, and like who could I potentially see myself working with? I could see myself working with Allie.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I think that
Yeah.
we can put whatever whatever beef in the past.
And the Jess revenge plot, the sibling revenge plot wasn't doing it for you?
Talk about that later. That's probably one of my favorite moments in the like end of the game was that whole thing. I have like vivid memory of sitting down with Justin and him just talking and talking about how, you know.
I remember Gabby telling me about that before like any of the footage was even reviewed. Like you were like, Justin
he's got
things to say.
He has got some feelings about the way that you treated him when you were younger.
Yeah, he's staring at his grievances. But also like the way that he did it was like really funny because I was like, yeah, I get it. And it felt like a bit like we were doing like a little bit with each other. And that was like so silly. But I was like, I don't know, I think Justin's probably gonna go. So like of who's left here, probably I already also detected that like Jess and Zach were like strong and probably gonna, you know, we're working together. And you know, Allie and I also go way back. So if it wasn't going to be Ella.
Yeah, that's so fair.
So you were working mostly off of a friendship, real life friendship.
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Out of game stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that is what like everyone like anticipates is going to matter most in the game, but usually it's out the window. No one cares who they're friends with. I do think with Allie specifically, it's quite hard being her friend and then also having her in the game because she has this like way that makes you like want to trust her if you're friends with her.
Ella's not fooled.
Ella sees right through it. Well, Ella maybe Ella overcompensates. Ella's like, every word you say to me is a lie. But I do find it like difficult to like maybe think about like what could happen if she's like being not truthful. But for me at this point in the game, my like primary goal is like what gets me into the final 3 so that I can like argue my case in like so like that for me means figuring out what people will definitely take me and not put me in fire if they win the final 4 immunity. So that is like definitely why I kept Allie around at this point, because we had our final 2 and I was trusting that and I felt that she would take me if push came to shove, and she won and I couldn't pull it out for the final 4. So that was definitely my top priority here.
Well, I guess the other option on the table for you, Jess, was Gabi. So
yeah,
why not Gabi? And
right. So it's
Justin?
between Justin and Gabi. I was viewing Justin less as my brother because like I was saying, like I don't really, after playing 2 seasons, I don't really consider people's friendships, honestly, unless it seems like they're working together in the game. And like Justin at this point is like kind of most closely aligned with Allie, realistically. So I felt like that was, everybody else is more closely aligned with me specifically in the game because we have, you know, Gabi, like us, Zach, and Grant as the Coconuts 4 who are left, and then Allie, who I have a separate final 2 with. Justin, I had not solidified any kind. I mean, we have this final 4 now, but I felt like there was more of a risk of Allie benefiting from that more than me in this scenario. Which again, it's hard to say like what. That's how I felt at the time, you know. So that was more my thought of. I just didn't trust that Justin would, I guess, take me to the end.
Yeah, understood. Do we have anything to say about Tribal Council? I don't necessarily.
No, it was kind of uneventful. Just Justin going, I get pizza.
It was cute. He's a good sport.
Good sport. He did say he was, as bad as I feel having him leave after watching, he was happy to go, I think, because he was tired.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
So I think without further ado, we're gonna do our episode MVP.
All right.
Okay.
So as the guest of honor, Gabi, who did you select as your episode MVP?
Okay, before we go any further, can the MVP and the silly goose be the same?
Of
Yeah.
course, but we're just
Okay.
gonna work with one. We're
Yeah.
gonna work with
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get confirmation. I have like an honorable mention for the MVP,
Okay.
which is Dylan because of the opening elimination. Just absolutely.
Yeah.
Wait, with what?
The Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and then just like, well, like the shock, but also not shock, and then just like, good game, everybody, like walk off, goodbye, like this is what it is. I just thought that was pretty pretty
Pretty
funny.
slay.
Yeah,
Gotcha,
just
gotcha.
like, oh, you guys got me, and now I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
um but second to that is Justin, because he was really like, here I am, I'm
Mhm.
finally gonna play now.
Oh,
Yeah. I loved his, and honestly I do think that his last, I mean, I don't know if he knew it was his last ditch effort, but it did end up being his last ditch effort, was pretty good. Like it was
admirable.
pretty, yeah,
Yeah.
he was thinking, he was scheming, he was deceiving.
He made a
And I
fake
think
boys
that
alliance.
yeah, him baiting them with the fake boys alliance, even though it kind of blew up in his face, was quite a gamer move, which I enjoyed from him.
Yeah.
As silly Billy as he is, I do
I
think
mean, he's the reason that this episode is. I mean, and Gabby obviously,
yeah.
is like entertaining
Yeah.
because we're not giving up here.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure.
He was going hard in the challenge. He was working on
Hmm.
his social game, and just like well-rounded
Yeah.
competitor, just really pulling through at this point, and gave us also just like, yeah, just like well-rounded moments where you're like rooting for him because he's kind of just shooting up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
This
And I do actually
Shooting
think
up. He was the one that was talking about performance enhancing drugs
oh my god,
earlier.
so true.
Yeah,
Do you
he's MVP because he did suddenly come across under the rocks, looking for the immunity idol.
I did hide some there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were
I was
hoping someone
hoping I was
would.
hoping someone would
Yeah.
find it.
Yeah.
Leave no stone unturned.
Yeah. And he didn't. He left no
You
one
just
unturned.
lift up a rock and there's a needle.
Ah.
And it's like, yes, I've been looking for this.
I do think that this episode also is like, because we are talking about Justin in this episode as a jury threat, and I think that this is also like, he is giving that in this episode. Do you know what I mean? Like he's a
Yeah.
self-starter. He's
And
pulling
say-
himself up by his bootstraps.
Right. Say what you want about the way that he played a lot of this game, but
Yeah.
he was beloved by a
Mhm.
lot.
Oh, he was beloved.
a
Yeah.
lot of the jury.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
He was, I mean, not just like he was an underdog because of all of the situations we put him in.
Yeah.
It was like immediately rejected by the coconuts. We were like, yeah, it's fine. Like, bye, like, go to the other team kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like taken in by that team, but like with suspicion and hesitation. Like, I don't think that he was ever really given a chance to like meld with either group. Then we like really go to merge. And like, what do you as a person who has been on both sides do at
Right.
merge?
Especially in a game that's so divided by tribal lines, like
Yeah.
he really was. And he has throughout the game, he had a good like mind about him. It was just about implementing his stuff, which he finally is doing in this episode, because he is at the end of the day a gamer, you know.
very true. What Jess, who did you select? Was
I
it
continue
Justin
to-
as well?
I continue to struggle with episode MVP at this late game stage. I think I'm leaning towards Allie at this point because she somehow has evaded capture until now. And she is able to talk herself back into Gabby's good graces. I also know that she is like putting out feelers to see if there's any, and I know that this is what she was doing because she told me like in present day, but I believe she's like trying to like kind of throw out me and Zach's names to see if there's some way that she can get one of us gone at this point. Because even though we have this final three, I don't think that I think she knows that me and Zach at this point would like take one another over her, which I don't think she thinks is optimal. And I just noticed that when I was rewatching that you can kind of see her be like, so who do you think is the biggest threat at this point? Do you think it's Zach and Jess? And no one's like picking up what she's putting down. So she kind of like is able to like shift away from that very quickly. I do think her biggest downside this episode is that she has now made herself out to be most also because of Gabi calling it out, but as like the mastermind of like the Ella vote and therefore like potentially a threat at the end. So I think that's her biggest downside, but she is somehow not discussed at all in this vote. So I'll say Allie.
Yeah, I also had a little bit of trouble picking, but let me say my honorable one. Honorable mention. Wow, I need to sleep. I said Gabi for my honorable mention because you are the one with agency over Grant for this, and he's just like kind of referring to whatever you want to do. And you do make up with Allie. I think you put on a level head after the meltdown.
I was hungry, I guess.
Yeah, you just need a little bit of peanut butter.
Uncrustable? We're good.
Just needed some carbohydrates, a little sugar. Yeah, right. But I did end up going with Allie here because of basically everything you said. Mostly because she is like not talked about, and I think the fact that she did have so much heat on her at the beginning of this episode, and then like seemingly like it's all washed away very quickly is, I don't know, it's very impressive to me. So with that, I think we're going to be giving episode MVP to Allie once again. Congratulations. Woo!
This is her third,
I think it is
episode MVP.
But for my favorite part now, the silly goose of the
obviously
day.
the best part.
I find this one a lot easier to.
Well, actually, I couldn't decide. I have two people.
I do also have
silly
two.
Goose of the day.
But listen, I have two silly geese here. If we need to do it,
okay, all right. Should I say my people?
Of course.
Okay. Well, my first person is Justin because he is being very funny, and that is a good quality to have as silly goose of the day. But he also is like kind of shooting himself in the foot at every turn because he's like him doing the fake boys alliance, and then so like it gets like Grant immediately runs to Gabi and is like, Justin's doing a fake boy, like this boys alliance, and like it looks bad for him. Not that anyone is really believing this like fake boys alliance, but and then he is also like convinced that he has convinced Grant to vote for Gabi, which could not be like more than more further from the truth. And yeah, just him, as sad as it is, him kind of feeling like he finally is like, oh, I'm in this alliance just for like the three of us to turn right back around and vote him out. Yeah, so he was my first pick. And then my second pick is, of course, Gabi. For the cuckoo crazy behavior at the beginning of the episode. And then after we think that it's done being cuckoo crazy, she goes, there will be hell to pay. If you vote against me, there will be hell to pay.
The veil threats. It's great. It's like
none of which I was prepared to do anything about either.
Yeah.
I really just love us being in the tent and you being like, explain yourselves.
I do appreciate the Real Housewives energy that you're bringing to this episode.
Yeah, so very reality TV.
Well, that and quoting.
Yeah,
right.
Multiple times. Well, actually, just the one time. Well, no, one Kardashians the other time. Sorry.
Quote. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, was it the Bible?
It was Bible.
Yeah, you went Bible.
Right before you said there will be hell to pay.
Yeah.
So I can't decide. Yeah. We'll
I'll jump in here and say that I also selected those two. individuals for the same reasons. I'm obsessed that Gabby was on my MVP and Silly Goose list.
Yeah.
Yes,
Important
I mean
duality.
the boys men. I mean, oh my
The boys
goodness,
to men.
the boys to men
The Boys to
alliance.
Men alliance.
It's like a transition, like
yeah.
right. The boys to men alliance, into calling them both misogynist, just chef's kiss.
So good.
Could not have
because
written
they're
that better.
misogynist. I literally laughed out loud. I don't know how many times I've watched this episode. Too many, but I literally laughed out loud when I watched that today.
And then referring to Allie as the Bobby Fischer of Survivor is just it's too iconic to not consider. So I guess, Gabby, you're in a position where you can either bring someone else to the table, or you can break a tie.
This is bad.
Or
you can agree with both.
Crown both. So let us know what you're thinking.
I think we're gonna have to do both, because I watching myself back, this episode in particular, hallucinating. Like, really an out-of-body experience. The one moment that was not an out-of-body experience was, in fact, when I said, like, and to quote Richards, that one I had beat for beat. I was like, I remember saying this. Everything else, like, you guys had been talking about this episode for a while before I picked up the strength to watch it. And having people quote myself to me for like several months. And
there will be hell to pay.
So many quotable moments here. Just
and
you're gonna pay for your crimes.
We didn't even talk about you and Allie literally being like,
oh yeah, the namesake of the episode. The girls are fighting.
So for that, for the sleep deprivation of it all, I do think I was really silly goosing it up. And also then the quick turnaround by the end of the episode, I was like, whatever, it's fine.
I think that another part of it too. Another part of it is like, you were not acting like that at all in the past episodes either. Like, this was it was like an act of God within those 30 minutes that you were like being so crazy, because it was like a switch. It was.
And then I was like, okay, gotta get back to
business.
Oh my god, wait.
I had no strategy for either.
Someone's joining the call. It's a silly goose. And here's another
silly goose. That's you and Justin hanging out.
This is you guys talking about Jess. This is you guys talking about Jess.
Yeah, Justin really did silly goose it up for me.
Oh yeah.
Congratulations.
Amazing. Thank you.
Could not be prouder.
Two iconic silly geese.
Yeah.
The heart and soul of this episode.
Justin, not a misogynist.
Not he needs it to be known that he's not a misogynist.
Boys Alliance, not sexist.
Not sexist. No.
And we can say that with like 100% certainty now.
Bible.
That no one involved. That Bible, no one was involved in misogyny, because all of them were actively against it.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, yeah, whatever. Boys Alliance.
No. We gotta keep the boys
I got my
girls
together. Back.
Like, final three.
I just am obsessed with Justin baiting the people that he thought would be misogynist. The only men left. It's so good. Gotta keep the boys together.
All right. So with that, I thank you, Gabby, for being with us and chit-chatting with the ma'am. So you're now an active ma'am. Congratulations.
Yes. Oh my god, this is her.
A goose? A ma'am?
Yeah. Ma'am goose. Silly ma'am goose.
Yeah. So thank you for being with us. Next week, it is gonna be our finale episode.
Wow.
And I can say that is going to be a heavy hitting episode.
Oh yeah.
All three finalists are going to be with us talking about the entire thing. So a little chaotic.
We have to talk about the whole final five to the end. So it's gonna be a biggie.
It's gonna be a big one.
Yeah.
Don't miss it. And then we also have, Jess and I have crafted our Survivor 50 dream team, if you will.
Dream team.
Because Survivor 50 is going to have returning players. So we made our little draft, and we can say that we have made it old school versus new school. So if that's something you're into, check it out. And without further ado, ma'ams are signing off.